Hi, my name is Stellabelle. I'm a crypto artist and writer. Welcome to my museum. I want to tell you the story of why I chose FRIDA as the theme for my very first crypto art exhibition in my new Crypto Voxels project, Stellabelle's Museum. 12 years ago, my life was altered in a severe way due to the Great Recession of 2007 through 2009. The causes of the Great Recession include a combination of vulnerabilities that developed in the financial system, along with a series of triggering events that began with the bursting of the United States housing bubble in 2005 and 6. When housing prices fell and homeowners began to abandon their mortgages, the value of mortgage-backed securities held by investment banks declined in 2007 and 8, causing several to collapse or be bailed out in September 2008. This 2007-8 phase was called the subprime mortgage crisis. I moved to San Diego, California in 2006 as a result of wanting to get out of the stifling Midwest, and I also dreamed of living near the ocean. I moved there by myself at age 36 with only $2,000 and went from job to job until I finally secured a position as a pre-press technician at Modern Postcard. I wanted to work in the art department at Modern Postcard, but no positions were available, so I took the pre-press tech job. At the time, I had a meager 401k worth about $10,000 and no other assets. I had no family out in California and also no real support system. Like much of my adult life, I tended to go it alone and live alone too. I had given away most of my material possessions before I moved to California. I had enough clothes for 1 week, but not much else. I'll never forget the day I took a look at the value of my 401k. It went from being worth $10,000 to $8,000 in a matter of weeks. My stomach sank. I thought my 401k was my money. I didn't understand how $2,000 of my money was now gone, even though I didn't do a damn thing to it. I didn't know what the fuck was happening. I wasn't aware of the financial world at all, but I knew something way bigger and completely out of my control was happening. Then the final straw for me happened. The daily workload in my department shrunk by 50%. We were able to get all the client jobs completed by 1 p.m. instead of 5. So once we completed all the work, all of us just sat around goofing off, talking or making up fake work. I thought it was insane. I realized this was not sustainable. That was the final signal that my life was about to capsize. I realized I would be axed from Modern Postcard any day. I made a quick decision to cash out my 401k while it still existed and leave Modern Postcard before I was laid off. After I walked out, I began to look for any type of job. I was among 600 people who tried to get a job as a clerk at Trader Joe's. I showed up at a restaurant lobby for a graphic design job, and the number of applicants was close to 100. I knew I was toast. I realized I wouldn't have a chance in hell anywhere, because so many other people were also desperate for work. It was at this point of chaos that I had a strange vision which took hold of my mind. An image of a green apron with pockets full of colorful handmade postcards and a large gem-encrusted crown appeared to me in a vision of me becoming the world's first patron saint of postcards. It was a vision that came to me. It would involve me making tons of handmade postcards and then going out into the world to either give them away for free or sell them, based on certain variables. The fuel for this vision was generosity and creativity. In a way, I set out to answer this question: can a simple postcard be the vehicle for a dream? And now that I had been released from my boring day job because of the recession, I was able to fully dive into my fantastical world of imagination. I kept a journal at that time, which I still have, and here's my explanation about this phase. I feel that the creation of the patron saint of postcards persona is a desire on my part to create a great connective tissue that forms between me and the rest of the world. One of the most basic human needs is to connect with others, and I do feel that through the years, this connective tissue has been worn down by technology and consumerism. I think technology is wonderful and fascinating, and yet I also feel that it is isolating. The thing I suppose I crave the most in this modern world is connecting with others in a deep and meaningful way in order to understand how we all perceive and process the world. My vision came to me without expectations. It came to me without ego. It came to me without even trying. That's how visions work. They come from some deep well of subconscious stew, and in a way they are more human than anything else in us. Sometimes visions don't include the notion of making money. Mine certainly didn't. I think my vision came to reawaken my creative spirit. I was lucky enough to have an aunt who was a master seamstress. She had devoted most of her life to sewing clothes. So after I drew out my sketch of the postcard apron, I sent it to my aunt, and she sewed it. Then I set out into the world to live out my patron saint of postcards fantasy, complete with handmade postcards, a crown, and a true desire to share my simple postcard art with the world. Within no time at all, random people who saw me on the street began calling me FRIDA. At the time, I didn't really know anything about Frida Kahlo. I hadn't intentionally dressed as Frida, as I had little to no awareness of her, but people continued to call me Frida, so I eventually adopted a unibrow. I began to dress more like her and did a series of self-portraits in a Frida style. During this phase, I worked every day on the streets, giving away and selling my postcards. I had stopped looking for a real job because there weren't any really, and was just using my dwindling 401k to live off of. The amount of money I earned selling postcards was barely anything, and I gave away a lot for free too. If someone was really interested or amused by a particular postcard, I tended to give it for free. But if someone asked up front how much they cost, then they had to pay for them. I charged $4 per postcard. I gave away a lot of them to homeless people and to those who lived in Salvation Mountain. I also visited bars, and on one occasion I attracted the attention of a journalist who worked for the San Diego City Beat. He asked me several questions, and when I gave him very candid answers, he flipped out his notebook and began taking notes on me. He said he was going to write a story about me in the City Beat. It was soon after this that I landed on the cover of the San Diego City Beat, dressed as the patron saint of postcards. And so for all the reasons above, I thought I should pay tribute to Frida Kahlo. It's now so many years later, but it's only now that I took the time to understand her life and her work. And we are in the same economic depravity that we were when Bitcoin was invented. And so I feel like the timing of this is correct. And now I leave you with the final lesson of Frida Kahlo. That is, make authentic art. Make art that is personal and that means something to you.